Imagine a place so ancient it's called the cradle of civilization. A wetland so lush it's believed to be the biblical Garden of Eden. Now imagine it turning to dust. This isn't a dystopian film. It's the reality today in southern Iraq, where the Mesopotamian Marshes, a 7,000-year-old ecosystem, are vanishing before our eyes. Once a vibrant oasis covering 20,000 square kilometers, this network of rivers and lagoons is now a parched, salt-crusted wasteland. Today on G Fun Facts Online, we explore the catastrophic water crisis that is erasing a priceless human and natural heritage, and ask if there's any hope left for the Garden of Eden. For millennia, this was where the great Tigris and Euphrates rivers met, creating a biodiversity hotspot in the middle of the desert. It was a vital stop for millions of migratory birds flying between Siberia and Africa, and home to unique species like the Basra reed warbler. In this land of abundance, around 5000 BC, the Sumerian civilization flourished, giving us writing, the wheel, and the first cities, like Ur and Uruk. Their direct descendants are believed to be the Madaan or Marsh Arabs. For thousands of years, the Madaan have lived in perfect harmony with the water. They navigate the channels in long canoes called mashhuf, they herd water buffalo that graze on the reeds, and they build incredible arched guest houses called mudhifs, entirely from woven reeds. Their entire identity is tied to the ebb and flow of these waters. These marshes weren't just beautiful, they were a giant natural filter, purifying water before it reached the Persian Gulf and moderating the harsh desert climate. They were the lungs and kidneys of the entire region. The first great tragedy to befall this paradise wasn't an act of nature, but of a tyrant. After the 1991 Gulf War, Saddam Hussein sought to punish the Marsh Arabs, whom he accused of sheltering rebels. His revenge was an engineering project of pure destruction. He ordered a network of massive canals and embankments built to divert the Tigris and Euphrates rivers away from the marshes, bleeding them dry. By the year 2000, the United Nations confirmed that 90% of the Mesopotamian marshes had been destroyed. It was one of the greatest environmental disasters of the 20th century. The vibrant green turned to cracked, salty desert. An estimated 250,000 Marsh Arabs were displaced, their 5,000-year-old way of life shattered in less than a decade. After the fall of Saddam's regime in 2003, a miracle happened. Returning Marsh Arabs, using basic tools, began tearing down the dikes. Water flowed back in, and life returned with incredible speed. By 2006, nearly 60% of the original marshland was reflooded. Birds and fish came back. In 2016, UNESCO recognized the area as a World Heritage Site, a testament to its unique cultural and natural value. But this renaissance was tragically short-lived. Today, the marshes face a new, more complex enemy, a three-headed hydra of upstream dams, runaway climate change, and chronic mismanagement within Iraq itself. Let's break down this modern crisis. First, the dams. Iraq is a downstream nation, completely dependent on rivers that start in other countries. For decades, Turkey's southeastern Anatolia project, a network of 22 massive dams, has been choking the flow of the Tigris and Euphrates. Since the 1970s, these projects have cut the water reaching Iraq by as much as 80%. The completion of the Ilisu Dam on the Tigris in 2020 was a devastating blow. It gives Turkey near total control over the river's flow, forcing Iraq to essentially beg for water on a month-to-month basis. Iran has made things worse by damming and diverting smaller rivers that feed into the Tigris. With no binding international water-sharing agreements, Iraq is at the mercy of its neighbors. Second, the fire of climate change. Iraq is one of the 5 countries most vulnerable to climate change on Earth. It's getting hotter and drier. A drought that began in 2021 was the worst in 40 years. Temperatures in southern Iraq could regularly hit 56 degrees Celsius by the 2060s. That's near the absolute limit of human survivability. This heat accelerates evaporation, making a bad situation worse. The third head of the Hydra is a crisis from within. Decades of conflict have left Iraq's water infrastructure in ruins. Inefficient flood irrigation wastes massive amounts of water. Corruption stalls vital projects. And pollution is rampant. Untreated sewage, fertilizers, and industrial waste flow directly into the rivers. On top of all this, Iraq's vital oil industry is incredibly thirsty. Oil extraction in the south, right on top of the marshlands, uses enormous amounts of fresh water, injecting it into wells to boost production. One estimate suggests the oil industry pumps out 60,000 cubic meters of water every day, the same amount a medium-sized city would use. The result of all this is an unmitigated disaster. As fresh water from the rivers disappears, salt water from the Persian Gulf pushes further and further inland. Water that was once fresh now has salinity levels 30 times higher than normal. This hypersaline water is poison. It kills the reeds, the foundation of the ecosystem. It kills the fish. And it's undrinkable for people and their livestock. The unique culture of the Marsh Arabs is on the brink of collapse. Fishing, once their main source of income, is gone. Fishermen who used to catch 50 kilograms a day are lucky to find 5. Their iconic water buffalo, central to their life for milk and meat, are dying in the thousands, poisoned by the salt water. With their livelihoods gone, the Madan are fleeing once again. This time, they are climate refugees, abandoning their ancient heritage to find work in overcrowded cities. A 5,000-year-old civilization is unraveling. This has also become a severe public health emergency. In the summer of 2018, in the city of Basra, at least 118,000 people were hospitalized with illnesses from drinking contaminated toxic water. The biodiversity of the marshes is in freefall. Freshwater species are disappearing, replaced by saltwater crabs. Millions of migratory birds have lost their crucial resting spot. The very real possibility exists that species like the Basra reed warbler, found almost nowhere else on Earth, will go extinct. So, is anyone trying to stop this? Yes, but the challenge is immense. The Iraqi government and NGOs like Nature Iraq are working on restoration projects. UNESCO's World Heritage designation brought international attention. But these efforts feel like a bandage on a gaping wound. The core of the problem is the geopolitical deadlock. Without binding water-sharing treaties between Iraq, Turkey, and Iran, any local efforts are built on shifting sand. Turkey refuses to recognize the Tigris and Euphrates as shared international rivers, treating them as a national resource. The Mesopotamian Marshes are standing on the edge of a cliff. The combined forces of upstream dams, a warming planet, and internal decay are pushing them over. The water that birthed civilization is disappearing, and with it, a culture woven over millennia. The story of the marshes is a terrifying preview of the fragility of our world's most precious ecosystems. It's a warning of what happens when politics, pollution, and climate change converge. Without massive, coordinated action, from international treaties to local water management, the Garden of Eden will be lost forever, and the memory of the Marsh Arabs will become just another story in a history book.